Elsewhere, the leadership crisis within the African Democratic Congress has taken a dramatic turn as the Independent National Electoral Commission withdraws recognition from rival factions of the party, pending a court decision. The move has triggered sharp divisions, with both camps trading blame and vowing to press ahead with their claims to leadership.
Democratic Congress escalated in Abuja as opposition faction reacted differently to INEC's decision to suspend recognition of both leadership camps. At separate briefings, the faction led by Senator David Mark accused the ruling APC of fueling the crisis, claiming it is threatened by the party's rising political profile. The group insisted that the leadership formed at its July 2025 NEC meeting remains legitimate and pledged to continue party activities despite INEC's stance.
Commissioners, we no longer have confidence in them. We are convinced that they are incapable of conducting any credible election.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Let us also make it clear we are proceeding with our party programs because there is nothing under the law that makes INEC's attendance a mandatory requirement.
Yes.
We have duly served INEC notice and will proceed accordingly.
However, the party's 2023 presidential candidate, Dumebi Kachiko, backed INEC's decision, attributing the crisis to internal missteps rather than external interference. He alleged that the Mark-led faction is attempting to take over a structure already entangled in legal battles.
Rafumosu, whose tenure as chairman of the African Democratic Congress lapsed on the 21st of August 2022, sold the ADC to men who had destroyed their parties and were seeking for another party with which to prosecute their grudge match against President Tinubu and the APC. This group of mostly ex-political office holders who have held sway over the affairs of Nigeria for the last 40 years or more had attempted to register the ADA and then jumped to the SDP before they gate-crashed the ADC in the middle of the night. How do you explain this?
INEC has stated that its action follows a Court of Appeal ruling directing all parties to maintain the status quo pending final judgment at the Federal High Court. The decision effectively leaves the ADC without officially recognized leadership, deepening.
The All Progressives Congress APC has advised a faction of the African Democratic Congress ADC, led by David Mark, to seek legal redress over its leadership dispute rather than make public accusations. Addressing a press briefing in Abuja, APC National Secretary Sirajuddin Bashir explained that INEC acted in line with a Court of Appeal directive and due process. He also noted that this followed decision by the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC to remove the faction's leadership names from its portal, citing a subsistent court order and the need to maintain the status quo. The National Secretary further dismissed claims that Bola Tinubu was undermining opposition parties, describing the allegations as baseless and a distraction from internal issues within the ADC.
Nigerians must know that the present predicament of David Mark and his ilk has to do with the untidy way they hijacked the leadership of an existing political party without carrying along all stakeholders, resulting in court litigation before the Federal High Court, and the adverse judgment of the Court of Appeal, upon which the INEC predicated its decision not to recognize any of the two contending parties for the leadership of the African Democratic Congress, pending determination of the pending suit at the Federal High Court. The ADC of Mark went to Court of Appeal over an internal leadership dispute that was still ongoing at trial court. And in doing so, they made fundamental legal mistake. That mistake cannot be laid at the doorstep of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu or our party. The appellate court found that the lower courts had not granted injunctive relief sought, but merely asked the defendant to show cause why the other sought should not be granted, implicating that Senator David Mark's faction appeal was built. It's imperative to address the Nigerian people on the.
While warning the faction against holding party activities amid ongoing litigation, Bashir noted that it could violate court orders and insisted Nigeria remains a multi-party democracy, as he urged aggrieved members to resolve their differences through the courts.
To April 2026. The highlights of their press conference shorn of the unwarranted verbal vituperations are as follows. 1. They claim President Bola Tinubu is deliberately weakening opposition party to force a one-party state ahead of 2027. They also contended that INEC acted unlawfully by withdrawing recognition of their leadership, misinterpreting the Court of Appeals order that status quo ante bellum should be maintained, and thereby they were calling that saying that INEC has taken side against them.